So hello everybody. We have the pleasure today to have as our speaker Dr. Mohamed El Mashkouri. Mohamed El Mashkouri is from the University of Rouen Normandy. He is an associate professor in applied mathematics. He is a member of the mathematical laboratory Raphael Salam. His main research interests are related to limit theorems for sequences and fields of dependent random variables in probability theory with applications to non-parametric statistics. Today, the title of the talk of Dr. Mashkouri is Gaussian fluctuations of the elephant random walk with the gradually increasing memory. Thank you again, Dr. Mashkouri, and please you can start.
Thank you very much, Rafiq. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to present this work, which is a joint work with you, Rafiq, on Gaussian fluctuation for the elephant random walk. The plan of my talk will be the following one. First, I'm going to to recall the definition of the original elephant random walk model. After that, I'm going to speak about the model we are interested in, the elephant random walk with gradually increasing memory. It is a variation of the original model. And I'm going to tell a little bit about a method introduced by Bernard Bercu and Lucille Lolin in order to estimate the memory parameter P in this new model. But this part is still in progress, so I'm going to present only some results. Okay, the elephant random walk. It is a non-Markovian random process on the integer introduced in 2004 by two physicists, Schutze and Trimper. In their paper, elephant can always remember exact long-range memory effects in non-Markovian models. This model was introduced by a physicist, but it became a nice mathematical model, and that's the reason why we are interested in. Okay, so at time n is 0, the elephant is in 0, and at time 1, with probability q, where q is a fixed parameter, the elephant can move to the right, and with probability 1 minus q, the elephant can move to the left. Okay. After that, this is the starting point. After that, if n is fixed, at time n plus 1, the elephant choose uniformly at random an instant beta n between 1 and n, between instant 1 and instant n. And according to the memory parameter P of the random walk, the step at time n plus 1 will be denoted by x n plus 1. It will be exactly okay. The elephant, I mean, the elephant will move in the same direction as at instant beta n with probability p, and in the opposite one with probability 1 minus p. What does it mean? It means that we can write the step at time n plus 1 as x n plus 1 equals alpha n x beta n, where beta n, as I told you, is a random variable uniformly distributed on the set 1 to n. It means the instant one. It is one of the instant in the past. So and alpha n is 1 with probability p, and minus 1 with probability 1 minus p. And of course, alpha n, beta n, and the steps from x1 to xn are all independent. So the main, okay, in order to be clear on the position of the elephant at times n plus 1, and Sn plus 1 is the position of the elephant at time n plus 1, and it is, of course, Sn, it is equal to Sn plus Xn plus 1. It means that if, as it is written in blue, if x beta n is 1, it means that at instant beta n, the elephant moved to the right. Then we from Sn, with probability p, the elephant at time n plus 1 will move to the right, and the new position will be Sn plus 1. And with probability 1 minus p, the position of the elephant at time n plus 1 will be Sn minus 1. Similarly, it is written in red, if x beta n is minus 1, then with probability 1 minus p, the elephant sorry?
No, it's okay, Mohammed.
Okay, okay.
Sorry.
Okay. If x beta n is minus 1, then the elephant will move from Sn to Sn plus 1 with probability 1 minus p, and from Sn to Sn minus 1 with probability p. Okay, the main trick in order to obtain asymptotic properties for the elephant random walk in the original model, but it will be the same in the variation of the model, which I'm going to speak about. The main trick is to find a connection between the elephant random walk and the martingale. This idea is due to Bernard Bercu in his paper in 2018. In fact, we can notice that simple calculation, the conditional expectation of xn plus 1 with respect to fn, to the sigma algebra generated by x1 to xn, is exactly 2 times p minus 1 Sn divided by n. And since Sn plus 1 is Sn plus Xn plus 1, we have the following expression of the conditional expectation of Sn plus 1 with respect to Fn. It is gamma n Sn, where gamma n is an explicit constant given like this. And the question is, can we find a sequence an such that this equality holds? If this is true, then an times Sn will be a martingale. And of course, this will be true if we choose an like this. A1 is 1 and an equal an plus 1 gamma n for any n. And so an must be equal to this expression where gamma is the gamma function. And consequently, and as I told you, this was an idea, an approach used in the paper by Bernard Bercu. If Mn is an times Sn, then Mn is a martingale. And the strategy will be to use martingale theory and its powerful tool in order to get asymptotic properties for the position of the elephant. And in particular, it's possible to get some nice result on the asymptotic normality of this elephant random walk. Okay. And one of the results obtained by Bercu in 2018, it's not the only one, of course, because in its paper, Bernard obtained also the law of large number, the quadratic law of large number, law of iterated logarithm. So, but in this talk, I am interested by this result on the central limit theorem. And Bernard Bercu proved that there is 3 regimes for the asymptotic normality of the elephant random walk. If P is less than 3/4, it means if we are in the diffusive regime, then Sn divided by normalized by square root of n converge in law to a Gaussian law with mean 0 and variance 1 by 3 minus 4p. If we are in the critical regime, it means that P is 3/4. Then Sn normalized by square root of n log n converge in law to a Gaussian with mean 0 and variance 1. And finally, in the superdiffusive regime with P larger than 3/4, then he obtained the convergence, the almost sure convergence, and in L4 to some non-Gaussian random variable L. In the superdiffusive regime, in the paper of Bercu, he did not obtain the Gaussian fluctuation of the elephant random walk around L. And this was done 1 year later by Kubota and Takei. Again, in the superdiffusive regime, they obtained the Gaussian fluctuation around the limit L. And the convergence in law to a Gaussian law, which is with 0 mean, and the variance 1 by 4p minus 3. What we can remark here is a kind of symmetry in terms of variance between the variance of the limit in the diffusive regime in the result by Bercu and the limiting variance in the result by Kubota and Takei. And this symmetry, and we are going to see the same. We have to have the same remark in the new model I'm going to present you. As I told you, the main tool are limit theorems for martingales, classical limit theorems for martingales in the result obtained by Bercu, but also for the result obtained by Kubota and Takei. And in this last result by Kubota and Takei, they used the following CLT, central limit theorem for reverse martingales by Heidi in 1977. If Mn is a square integrable martingale with M0 is 0, if xk are the differences of this martingale, if Sn square is defined like this, then if this series converge, it means that Sn square goes to 0. Then Mn converge almost surely and in L2 to M infinity. And moreover, if we have the convergence in probability of these normalized partial sums to 1, and if the so-called Lindbergh condition is satisfied for any epsilon, positive epsilon, then we get the asymptotic normality of the normalized partial sums, sum from k equal n plus 1 to infinity of xk. And this is the main tool in the proof of Kubota and Takei. In what follow, we are going to obtain analog result in the new model. I mean, in the elephant random walk with gradually increasing memory. Result like in the result by Bercu, but also the result like in Kubota and Takei, which means that we are going to obtain Gaussian fluctuation around around the limit L. And we are going to see also that our result comes down to this result for in some particular cases. Okay, so now I'm going to present the new model, the elephant random walk with gradually increasing memory. In fact, it was introduced by Gut and Stadtmüller in 2022 in this paper, the elephant random walk with gradually increasing memory in statistics and probability letters. It is defined like this. We consider a sequence Mn of positive integers, such that for any k, l, and n, Mn is less than n, and Mn is non-decreasing. Okay, of course, Mn can be equal to n. Mn can be also constant, but in general, we are going to consider Mn like like a sequence going to 0 when it is divided by n. At time n+1 in this model, what is important to understand is that the elephant will remember the steps only from 1 to mn, instead of 1 to n in the original model. This is the main difference, the main variation. What does it mean? It means also that xn+1 is still equal to alpha n x beta n, like in the original model, but alpha n is the same definition, but beta n now is uniformly distributed on the set 1 to mn. Okay, in order to understand what I'm saying, for example, if n is equal 6 and mn is the sequence integer part of alpha of n, then of course here mn is 3. It means that if k is less than mn, then the elephant random walk, the elephant move like in the original model. Okay, it is the square in green here. But if k is larger than mn, for example, here k is 4, 5, or 6, then in order, for example, to compute the step x5, the elephant will remember only the step 1, 2, and 3, but not the step 4. Okay, but if in order to compute the step x3, then the elephant remembers x2 and x1. Okay, so it means that before mn, in fact, what we have to understand here is that actually we deal with not a sequence of random variables, but an array of random variables. I mean that when n is fixed, then mn is fixed, and before mn, the elephant moves like in the original model, and if k is larger than mn, then we have a gap in the memory of the elephant. So for n is 6, mn is 3, we have this trajectory. If n is 7, mn is still 3, so the memory is still the step 1, 2, and 3. But if n is 8, then mn is 4, and now the memory increases. And the memory now is x1, x2, x3, and x4. But we have, again, always a split between the step before mn and after mn. Okay, I hope I don't know if you have some question on the model or if it is clear. Okay. So now what we are interested in is to show that we are able to connect again, like in the original model, to connect the elephant to some martingale. We consider the partial sums SL, which is the position of the elephant. And as I told you previously, it is important to note that the elephant cannot choose among the step mn plus 1, mn plus 2 until k in order to determine the step at time k plus 1 when k is larger than mn. This is the main difference with the original model. The consequence is the following one. In the calculation of the conditional expectation of the step at time k plus 1 with respect to fk, like in the original model, we have to split to consider two cases, when k is less than mn and when k is larger than mn. When k is less than mn, the model is like in the original model, so we have exactly the same expression as in the original model. It means 2p minus 1 sk divided by k. But when k is larger than mn, since there is a gap in the memory, this conditional expectation is 2p minus 1 smn divided by mn. So it does not depend on k, actually. Okay. So if we move to the position of the elephant at time k plus 1, the conditional expectation of sk plus 1 with respect to fk is still gamma k sk with the same gamma k as in the original model, because we are dealing with k less than mn. So in this case, we can do exactly the same as in the original model, and we can define the constant ak. We can define the martingale ak sk. I wrote it mk bar. And this martingale can be written like this, the sum from 1 to k al epsilon l, where epsilon l are given like this. So this is exactly the same expression of the martingale as in the work by Bernard Bercu. But this is true in our model only for L less than Mn. But if K is assumed to be between 1 and N, then the good martingale will be the martingale Mk defined by this expression. And as you can see, if we can split again in two cases, k less than mn and k larger than mn. When k is less than mn, we get down to the martingale in the original model. But when k is larger than mn, we have the martingale in the original model plus an additional term. And what is interesting is that the additional term is still a martingale, since it is a sum of a constant times xl minus this conditional expectation, which means that xl minus this conditional expectation are martingale differences, because the conditional expectation is 0. So a previous result on this model is the following one by Gut and Statzmüller, published last year. As I told you, this model was introduced in this paper by Gut and Statzmüller, and they obtained this result when Mn is a non-decreasing sequence of positive integers, such that Mn is less than n. And this is the main condition in this paper. Mn divided by n must go to 0. Under this assumption, we have again 3 regimes. In the diffusive regime, when p is less than 3/4, then the Sn times square root of Mn divided by n converge in law to a Gaussian law with 0 mean. But here the variance is 2p minus 1 square divided by 3 minus 4p. If you remember, in the result by Berku, the variance was 1 divided by 3 minus 4p. If p is 3/4, then the convergence in law takes place, and the limit is the Gaussian law with 0 mean and variance 1 divided by 4. Again, in the result by Bernard Berku, the variance was 1. And if p is larger than 3/4, then they obtain the almost sure convergence to the random variable 2p minus 1 L, where L is the same non-Gaussian random variable as in the result by Berku. So in this paper by Guth and Stathmüller, we see that in the super diffusive regime, when p is larger than 3/4, they obtained, like in the work by Berku, only the almost sure convergence, but not the Gaussian fluctuation around L. And they raised a question in this paper, as a question how to extend the result when Mn divided by n converge to theta, some theta, which can be not 0. The proof of this result in the paper by Guth and Stathmüller is closely related to this condition in red, Mn divided by n going to 0 as n goes to infinity. So it's not possible to extend their method to the more general case when the limit of Mn divided by n is not 0. And this is the question we were interested in with Rafik. So the result we were able to establish is the following. Mn is still a non-decreasing sequence of positive integer. Now Mn divided by n goes to theta for some theta between 0 and 1. Theta can be 0, and theta can be also 1. And we introduce a parameter tau, which is theta plus 1 minus theta 2 times 2p minus 1. So in the diffusive diffusive regime, we get the convergence law to a Gaussian law with 0 mean, and now the limiting variance is tau square divided by 3 minus 4p plus theta 1 minus theta. What we can see is that if theta is 0, we get down to the result by Guth and Stathmüller. And when theta is 1, we obtain the result by Bernard Berku, since when theta is 1, it is possible to choose Mn is n. So if Mn is n, we get down to the original elephant random walk. It is the same case when in the critical regime, when p is 3/4, we have the convergence law to random variable with Gaussian random variable with 0 mean, and now variance 1 plus theta square divided by 4. Again, if theta equals 0, we come back to the result by Guth and Stathmüller, and if theta is 1, yes, if theta is 1, then the variance is 1, and this is exactly the result by Bernard Bercu. And when P is larger than 3/4, then we have also the almost sure convergence and in L4 to tau L, where L is the same non-Gaussian random variable. But if we come to the Gaussian fluctuation of the elephant random walk around tau L, we obtain the convergence law, we obtain the Gaussian fluctuation, but we need an additional assumption on the rate of convergence of Mn divided by n to theta. This condition is satisfied when Mn is n, of course. So in the original model, we get down finally. We get down actually to the result by Kubota and Takei because the condition in blue is satisfied. But when theta is 0, we have to check this condition in order to obtain the Gaussian fluctuation. And as in the result by Bercu and Kubota and Takei, we can see a symmetry in terms of variance from the super diffusive case and the diffusive case. I would like to give you some idea of the proof. If theta is fixed in 0 and 1, such that Mn divided by n goes to theta, and tau is defined like this. The main idea, it's not difficult, is to split the partial sum Sn. We have here the sum from 1 to Mn and the sum from Mn plus 1 to n. We know that for k larger than Mn, if you remember, the conditional expectation of the step at time k with respect to fk minus 1 does not depend on k. It depends only on the sequence Mn. So if we remove this conditional expectation, we introduce a parameter tau n in this equality, and tau n appears as Mn divided by n plus 1 minus Mn divided by n times 2p minus 1. And it converges to tau, to theta plus 1 minus theta 2p minus 1. And that's the reason why we introduce this parameter 2. So after that, we can deal with Smn. It's not a problem because Smn is exactly the position at time Mn of the elephant random walk in the original sense, like in the paper by Bercu. So we can deal with Smn easily. But we have the main problem is that we have an additional term in our expression. But as I told you previously, this term is the sum of martingale differences. And that's the reason why we can write Sn square root of Mn divided by n as the partial sums of delta k. What is delta k? Delta k is this term where again we split. We consider two cases when k is less than Mn and when k is larger than Mn. The epsilon k which appears in delta k are exactly the epsilon k defined in the paper by Bernard Bercu. Epsilon k are martingale differences. And when k is larger than Mn, xk minus the conditional expectation are also martingale differences. So we can deal with these partial sums like a martingale, and we decided to use a powerful method in order to get the asymptotic normality to obtain central limit theorems. This method is called Lindbergh's method. We start with a function phi with compact support and two bounded and continuous derivatives. And we introduce a sequence of independent Gaussian random variables, zk, with zero mean and the variance, the same variance as the random variable delta k in the previous slide, this delta k. And we assume that zk are independent of the sequence xk. And in order to get the asymptotic normality of the sum of delta k, which is the main our main objective, it suffices, this is the Lindbergh's ID, it suffices to show that the difference of these two expectations, the expectation of phi of the sum of delta k and the expectation of phi of the sum of zk, goes to zero as n goes to infinity. It is sufficient to show the convergence to zero because the sum of zk is a Gaussian random variable, and as n goes to infinity, if the variance of the sum will be the limiting variance in our result. So the main what we have to do is to explain how to handle this difference I and phi. And there is an interesting trick in the Lindbergh's work. It is possible to write I and phi as a telescopic sum. Here the sum from 1 to n of expectation of phi uk minus phi uk minus 1. What is uk? uk is the partial sums from 1 to k of the delta I, and from k plus 1 to n of the random variable zi. Okay? And you can see it's not difficult to check that I and phi is exactly this telescopic sum with this definition of uk. This is the main trick in the Lindbergh's method. This term is written bk phi, and bk phi, it's possible to write bk phi like this. First, we can remove the term in blue, minus phi wk here and here, and to note that uk can be written like wk plus delta k. What is wk? The main difference between wk and uk is that you remove in the definition of uk, it suffices to remove the term delta k. What is important to remove the term delta k? Because we can apply here the Taylor's formula, because phi is a regular function, so we can apply Taylor's formula. And when we apply Taylor's formula, we obtain this equality, where Rk, capital Rk and small rk are the rest in the Taylor expansion. And what is very nice in this approach is that there is, because of the martingale differences term, there is many conditional expectations which are zero. The expectation of delta k with respect to fk minus 1 is 0. So we obtain this expectation is 0 in the Taylor's expansion. And it is the same remark for the term expectation of zk phi prime of wk, where, as I told you previously, zk is independent of wk. And we get 0. And consequently, our term I and phi, which we are interested in, is exactly the sum of these three terms. and it suffices to control the partial sum of each terms above using martingale techniques and some another tricks. Okay. Now I would like to move to the problem of estimating the memory parameter P. Rafik, how many time I have?
10 minutes.
10 minutes, okay. I would like to say something about the estimation of the memory parameter P of the elephant random walk in this variation. As I told you, our approach is the same approach as in the paper by Bercu and Lolin in 2022.
Okay.
And this part is still in progress, and I would like just to show you how to adapt the approach by Bercu and Lolin in our model. The main thing is to split again between the case when k is less than mn and k is larger than mn. When k is larger than mn, so beta k is uniformly distributed on the memory from 1 to mn and not from 1 to n. And we can do some simple calculation. The probability of x cap plus 1 is 1 with respect to fk is given by 1/2 1 plus 2p minus 1 smn divided by mn. In the original model, it will be the case when k is less than mn. In the paper by Bercu and Lolin, the same calculation give you sk divided by k. Okay, and it is exactly what I wrote here. When k is less than mn, the same conditional probability gives you the same terms, except that it is not smn divided by mn, but sk divided by k. Okay, and we are going to compute the log likelihood. But what does it mean, the previous calculation? It means that this conditional probability is pk, where pl is given by this expression in two cases, L less than mn and L larger than mn, where a is a parameter, a fixed parameter, 2p minus 1. So in order to consider the likelihood estimator, for any xk plus 1 in -1, 1, the conditional probability is given by pk to this power 1 minus pk to this power. So if x is a sample x1 to xn, we can compute this the probability of this trajectory from x1 to xn using the computation before of the conditional probability. And the log likelihood function, which is associated to some sample x1 to xn, is given by this expression, where cqx1 is a constant. It means not a constant, but it means that it does not depend on a. I recall the definition of PL in the case where L is less than mn and L larger than mn. And since in the paper by Bercu, we know that the law of large number holds, we know that SL divided by L and SMN divided by MN goes to 0 as L goes to infinity, and as Mn as n goes to infinity, whatever the value of p is. So it makes sense to consider the second order Taylor approximation of the log likelihood, denoted by lambda n of A. And we obtain this expression where Tk, again, it is always the same approach. When k is less than mn, we have sk divided by k, but when k is larger than mn, because of the gap in the memory, we obtain smn divided by mn. So the calculation of the derivatives are simple, and we obtain this estimator hat A for the parameter A, and we deduce from this estimator another estimator for the parameter P of the elephant random walk. But so the main difference, the only difference between this calculation and the approach in Berku and Lolin, it is only the fact that we consider they split between the two cases when k is less than mn and k is larger than m. So after that, we can apply the same approach as in the original model, and it's not difficult to see that if we remove P from the expression of our estimator, we obtain this expression, and it's sufficient to note that when k is between 1 and n, the 2p minus 1 tk is exactly the conditional expectation of the step at time k plus 1 with respect to fk. So, and this is exactly the same, the main point, like in the work by Bernard and Lucille, we were able to write the estimator minus p like a martingale mn divided by the sum of the square of tk, and mn is a martingale. So all the rest of the proof is to, because what we want to do here is to prove the consistency, of course, of the estimator hat pn using results from martingale theory. The quadratic variation is given by this equality. And as I told you, the main point in this elephant random walk model is that it's very easy to do the calculation. And so it's not difficult to see that the quadratic variation of the martingale mn divided by Vn converge almost surely to 1/2. And from Berku, we know that the quadratic strong law of large number takes place for the elephant random walk, for the original elephant random walk. And we can apply this result if we stop, if we consider only the steps from 1 to mn. And this is the case here. 1 log n sum from 1 to mn sk divided by k square converge almost surely to 1 divided by 3 minus 4p. This is a direct consequence of a result in Berku. But it is sufficient here in order to obtain that the quadratic variation goes to infinity almost surely as n goes to infinity. And we obtain the consistency of our estimator, whatever the value of p is, using the law of large number for martingales by Neveu in 1968. In this result, Mn is a square integrable martingale. if the quadratic variation goes to infinity almost surely, like in our case, then for any gamma, Mn divided by its quadratic variation goes to 0 as n goes to infinity. And we can apply this result with the fact that the quadratic variation divided by Vn goes to 1/2 in order to obtain the consistency of height p. I don't know if I have time to speak about the Gaussian fluctuation of height p, but maybe I'm going to stop here and only I just want to show you the result. It is like in what do you think about this, Rafik? I have time or not?
3 minutes is possible.
5 minutes?
3, please.
3 minutes. So, okay,
Please.
okay. In order to obtain the Gaussian fluctuation of height p, what is important is to, like in previous result in the original model, is to obtain quadratic. Alors, not a quadratic strong law of large number, but it's enough to obtain a quadratic weak law of large number. It means we have to show that the sum of the square of tk divided by log n goes to some constant, not almost surely, but it is sufficient to obtain the convergence in probability, because we are interested in the Gaussian fluctuation by the convergence in law. Again, from Berku, we know that the first term, because we split again the sum, in the first term, we can apply Berku result. This is the quadratic strong law of large number. But the additional term here, n minus mn divided by log n times this square, it's not clear if this term goes to 0 almost surely. But what we can see using, again, exponential inequalities for martingales is that this additional term is going to 0, but in probability. Okay, so we have this exponential bound where we use a result from martingale theory. And for example, when p is less than 3/4, we have some asymptotics for the sequence an and for the sequence nu-n. And it's possible to control this probability by a constant times n to this power. And this term goes to 0 as n goes to infinity. So we can conclude that the additional term goes to 0 only in probability, and it will be enough. It will be enough to obtain our quadratic weak law of large number. Again, we can, like in the original model, show that the Lindbergh's method is satisfied. If we combine this Lindbergh's method with the quadratic weak law of large number, then using a result by MacLeish in 1974, given the asymptotic normality of partial sums of an array of random variables of martingale differences, then we can conclude that our martingale Mn divided by square root of log n goes to converge in law to a Gaussian law with 0 mean and variance 1 divided by 3 minus 4p. And by Slutsky lemma, we get what we want. It means the asymptotic normality of the estimator height p. So this approach is essentially the same as in the original model, but we would like to show that the fact that we have a gap in the memory is not a problem in order to get such kind of results. Okay, and this part is still in progress. A more difficult case is the critical case, because here we deal with the diffusive regime. But we are still in progress in this result. In conclusion, I would like to raise some question, in fact, because there is many interesting questions after this work. For example, how to obtain the rate of convergence in the CLT we obtained in the case of gradually increasing memory. Another question is what is the rate of convergence for the estimator of P? Maybe such kind of question will interest my colleague and friend Xiekwan Fan, who is with us, if I understood. And how to extend the result, a natural question, because in the model we were interested in, we considered the memory one increasing memory. It means that the elephant remembers only the steps from 1 to mn. But a more natural setting will be a memory like n minus mn to n. And this question is also a question I am interested in with Rafik. And we have some result, but we have to it is still in progress also. I will finish with sorry. Oh, yes, I will finish with some references, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mohammed, for this nice talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Please, are there some questions?
Hello, Mohammed. Good to see you.
Hello, Xiekwan.
Glad to see
How are you?
It's nice to meet you. Yeah,
Fine.
it's fine. And you?
Fine, thank you very much. I'm a little bit sick. I have a cold, but it's okay.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the nice talk. Also the result is very beautiful. As I can see that when the parameter with the ratio set equal to 0, I think your result can recover the result of Guth and Satuter-Muller. I think is.
Yes. Sorry,
so
I did not understand.
I said that if the ratio theta equal to 0, I think your result will reduce to the result of Satuter-Muller. Right?
Stat-Muller, yeah, Guth and
Yes,
Stat-Muller, yes.
Yes. Yes, so it's very nice. Now you have the central limit theorem. I think maybe you can consider Berry-Eisen bond on the convergence in what's the stand distance, as we did before for the usual elephant Ladon work.
Yes, with the original model, we obtained such kind of result with the Wasserstein distance.
Yes.
After that, you obtained also with Jérôme and Florence, if I remember, or Paul Ducamp, I didn't remember, some result with the Kolmogorov distance.
Yes.
But in fact, as you know, it's always a more difficult question it's possible to obtain a rate of convergence, but an optimal one is a very difficult question. Okay. So that's the reason why I raised the question in the conclusion. It will be very interesting if we can prove such kind of result, to extend the result you obtained with the Kolmogorov distance, and to put on light maybe the dependence of the rate of convergence, the dependence on the parameter theta, for example. I don't know, but I have no idea. I have no idea what kind of rate we can obtain actually.
I understand. Yes. But I think you have used the method of Lindeberger. Yes.
Sorry, the method of Lindeberger.
I see. Yes. In your proof, you use Lindeberger's method. I think the Lindeberger's method usually allowed us obtain something very precise, Berry-Eisen bond.
In what we did with Rafik, if I understand your question, we used the Lindbergh's method. Yes.
Yes.
But But we don't
because
have
in,
we don't have any rate of
Oh,
convergence.
yes, I see. For the estimation of memory, I think is also very interesting. Could you share me your paper for the
In fact,
estimation of
there's
parameter P?
in fact, there's I can send you. There is a result. There is a paper published last year by Lucille Lolin and Bernard Bercu. And the method, our approach here is exactly the method initiated by Bernard and Lucille. So I can send you the paper by Bernard and Lucille, but what I presented here is still in progress. So I have nothing to send you for the moment, but we are writing the paper.
Okay, no problem.
Right now.
Okay, no problem.
Of course, in the future, I will share you this work. No problem.
Okay, I see. I understand. Thank you.
Questions, please. Yes, Wissam.
Hello, Mohammed.
Hello, Wissam. How are you?
I will ask you to go back to some 2 slides, please.
2 slides before.
49.
Sorry, just because I have the screen of the camera in front of my slide, so I. Sorry. What slide? What the
49.
number of this? 49. This one?
Yes. Okay. No, everything is correct here. I thought there was a misprint. Then could you go to 30, please?
30? 30 or 30?
30. 30.
This one.
This one.
Wait, yes.
Okay. The additional condition in blue.
Yes.
If P is bigger to 3/4.
Yes.
Then the exponent of Mn is strictly positive, right?
Yes, because it is the square root of.
I have a problem with this condition in the sense then your blue condition implies that Mn/n minus theta goes to 0, right? Then if theta is bigger than 0, let's say Mn behaves like n exactly.
If theta is bigger than is between 0 and 1, Mn becomes like n theta.
Yes. Mn asymptotically is n theta.
Okay.
I have a problem. No, do you see any problem, or there is no contradiction? No.
I don't think so. What is
Mn/n goes to theta. The limit of Mn
because
over n.
yes, Mn divided by n minus theta goes to 0. Okay, this is the condition in red. But if you want to obtain at least in the proof, we need this condition. I don't know if it is necessary, but it appears in the calculation.
Okay. No, there is no conflict. Sorry.
Okay.
Other questions, please. Other question?
I have one.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes, Lucy.
Hi, thanks very much for the talk. I'm sorry I missed the beginning of it, but it was very nice.
Thank you.
I have a question about the generalization you raised at the end when you say that it's actually more natural to look at the memory going backward. Do you have any idea how it would behave in that case? Do you think there's still a central limit theorem, or do you think it's a completely different behavior?
No, what I guess is that we were able to apply again the Lindbergh's method approach in order to obtain central limit theorems. Yes.
Okay.
This is my my feeling.
Okay.
We are still working with Wolfik on this question, and my feeling is that it will be true. Yes.
Okay. Okay, that would be nice.
Thank you.
I think for the third question, it seems is MN is a constant. It seems in the paper also accumulate, they also obtain some result.
Yes,
By using the approximation of M macro trends, I think.
Yes, and I forgot to tell you that if in fact in what we obtained with Rafik, Mn can be a constant, because if Mn is a constant, yes, Mn can be a constant. Yes, because you have just to, if Mn is a constant, we obtain the result with theta equals 0. So it's possible to consider Mn as a constant. And I agree with you, Zekwan. It was the first work before the work I considered in this talk by Guth and Stadtmüller. There was a previous work, I think 1 or 2 years in 2021 by Guth and Stadtmüller in the case where Mn is fixed, is some constant M. But if I understand, I didn't read all the paper, but in this case, Guth and Stadtmüller wrote that sometimes there is no phase transition. There is no split in the regime of the process.
I see.
Yes,
I see.
you understand what
yes,
I mean?
I understand. Yes. Okay. Thanks. Yes.
That's the reason why after they considered the case M depending on M.
Exactly. Yes.
Questions, please. Yes,
Mohammed.
Mohammed Adel.
Okay.
Hello, Mohammed.
Very much, Mohammed, for this interesting talk.
Thank you.
It's really a pleasure to meet you again here by distance.
Thank you very much.
And during this talk. So I have a very, very simple question, natural question, I guess. You know, in the standard random walk, the limit, we can construct some stochastic processes like Brownian motion based on the random walk. Yes. So since here we have somehow a memory effect, one can think about the construction of fractional Brownian motion and so on for some particular choices of the random walk. But in this case of the elephant random walk, what kind of processes can come out from this random walk?
Okay, thank you. In fact, I think you mean there is in the original model, in the original elephant random walk, there is, if I'm right, a result by, if I remember, by Lucille, Lolin, and Bernard. It means that they obtained invariance principle, is functional version of the central limit theorem.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yes, it is functional central limit theorem. So for the original model, this is true, isn't it, Lucille? If you can.
The functional limit theorem were established by Bohr and Bertoin using
with a connection with polyurns.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
But it also works with martingale, but they did it with polyurns.
Okay. Okay. So the answer, Mohammed, is it is possible to get such kind of results. And it will be interesting to investigate also this question for when the memory, in the case of a gap of memory, like in the variation of the elephant random walk I'm talking about here.
Okay. So regarding this, when I saw this kind of estimations and central limit theorems and so on, I remember that there were some people using Malevin calculus to estimate the distance between or the rate of convergence of the original sum to the limit and so on. I don't know if this is possible in this framework or not. I mean, this is just a question that come in mind when you
Yes.
are seeing this kind of convergences. So such as, for example, Weierstrass distance or others that used by using the Malevin calculus tools. I mean.
Thank you. Yes, it's a very interesting question, and my feeling is I don't think so, because it's not clear how to use Malevin calculus like in the work by our colleague Yvan Ourdin, for example. So, I mean, yes, it's. I don't think so, because I tried in a previous work to apply, for example, because in the result by Yvan Ourdin, they combine Malevin calculus with Stein's method in order to obtain very nice and powerful results and the rate of convergence in central limit theorem and so on. But here we are mainly concerned with martingales. And what my feeling is that, and it's not only my feeling, it's also the feeling of not Stein, but l'élève de Stein. I don't know how to say it in English. The student of Stein, Chen. He told me that he tried to apply such kind of method in the setting of martingales in order to obtain, even for giving another proof of existing results. It's not easy to apply such kind of method in this context. So my feeling is it's not a good idea to go in this direction.
Okay, thank you very much.
For the question, please. Here we have to thanks again Dr. Mohammed Al-Mashkouri for this nice talk. Thank you also to the public for this nice discussion. And we stop here and we see you next talk.